India versus Pakistan, with all the hype around and all the build up around, more often than not, this encounter really doesn't live up to its billing, because in the recent past we've had a lot of one-sided encounters. But today was not a day like that. Today was a win for the ages for the Indian team. It was a humdinger of a contest that we witnessed between these two arch rivals here at the Nassau County Cricket Stadium, where I'm coming to you live with my match report. Talking about close encounters, there was another one coincidentally also happened in the T20 World Cup a couple of years ago. I was lucky enough to be there, and now the biggest question on everyone's mind is that how does this win compare to that win that India registered at the famous MCG where Virat Kohli played that blinder. I spoke to a lot of fans after the game. The opinions are divided, almost 50-50. If you ask me, I may give a slight edge to that encounter because I think the win probability in Melbourne came down to 3%. Here it had come down to about 18%. So in that sense, that was a more improbable situation from where India came back and won that game. Having said that, both wins are going to be one of the most memorable wins of all the matches that I've covered. And to be honest, with my hand on my heart, I'll be very honest, after India got 119, I did not think that they'd win that game. Even though you knew that the Pakistan batting was a bit susceptible, you knew that they are vulnerable, they were batting with a batter less, I still did not think that India could pull it off. So hats off to the Indian bowlers to have pulled off that particular victory. Of course, no amount of praise is enough for Jasprit Bumrah. Look at those figures of the 4 overs that he bowls at an economy of 3.50 in a T20 game, picking up those 3 wickets. Absolutely brilliant from Jasprit Bumrah. Might I add Hardik Pandya as well, and in fact Hardik Pandya has been outstanding so far in this tournament with the ball. Let's not forget Akshar Patel. If you were to ask me for a man of the match, I know there's Jasprit Bumrah. I think Akshar Patel also makes for a good contender. Not only did he get those 20 very important runs, also bowled a game-changing over that he bowled to Imad Wasim, picking up that 1 wicket, also an economy of less than 6 for him. He's also another contender for the performer of the match. And the third, of course, is going to be Rishabh Pant. 40 odd, 42 doesn't sound massive in a T20 game, but now if you look at it in hindsight, the kind of match that we had, a low scoring thriller, I think those 40 odd for Rishabh Pant is also very important. But despite this win, despite all the plaudits that are going towards the Indian team, there are few things that we need to consider, and one of those things is, let's not paper over the cracks that have appeared in the Indian team after this win. Yes, India now pretty much assured of a spot in the Super 8s, but remember, this win is alright. You beat Pakistan in that 2022 World Cup as well. You beat Pakistan in the 50 over World Cup as well. But what Indian fans really want at the moment is an ICC trophy. So that's something that India would have to focus on, and for that they need to look at this game very carefully. See, sometimes you have to bear in a few losses to fix a few problem areas. Luckily for India, this is not a loss that they've had. Luckily for India, they've got a win, so they haven't had to bear a loss, and yet this will give them an opportunity to look hard at a few things, and those are the few things that I'm going to touch upon. Maybe it is time for India to look at their batting order. Is Shivam Dube inspiring that sort of confidence? You've already made a decision of leaving out Rinku Singh, can't do much about that, but it's got nothing to do with Dube. These kind of pitches are not really to his liking. Should you look at a Sanju Samson to come into the batting order? Maybe that is something that you can consider. The other thing that you can look at, maybe if not Sanju Samson, maybe bring on Yashasvi Jaiswal, extend that batting order, something to do to fill over that spot, because that's really not working out, especially in these slow pitches. The other thing that the Indian team has to look at the moment is their approach. I know there was a lot of criticism that came India's way because of their approach. Everyone said they're playing old school T20 cricket, they're playing T20 cricket with which they can never win, very conservative, they have to play attacking, remove the seniors. So what did the Indian team do? The Indian team made up their mind that we'll come to this T20 World Cup, we'll come with a few senior players, but guess what? We'll change our approach and we'll continue to bat aggressively. That's the approach with which they came. But is that, and that's a good approach, an approach that you like, but is that an approach that you're going to have in every game, or should you be a bit careful and be a bit adjustable when it comes to different situations? I think that is something that the Indian team needs to ponder over, because what you did today was that you were aiming for 180, 190 on a 150 pitch. That could have been troublesome for the Indian team. Every batter tried to play attacking shots because they were aiming at 180, 190, because they have to live up to that reputation that they are going to be showing intent, that they're going to be a very aggressive side. And I think that is something that they need to reconsider, because good teams, they will play aggressive cricket. Let's think of in Australia, a David Warner can give you a 50, a run a ball 50 if the conditions are tough. That same David Warner will also give you a 15 ball 35 at a 200 strike rate. I think that is what Indian team needs to look at. Some tricky pitches, maybe tweak that approach, because if they got 150 today, it would have been a no contest anyway. Yes, they won with 119, but if it was against a much better team, a team that wasn't going to commit harakiri like Pakistan did, that could then be a problem for the Indian team. So something to ponder over as they go through the tournament, because you are still going to get some slow pitches in the West Indies. You'll get good pitches in St. Lucia, you'll get good pitches in Barbados, but you could get tricky pitches. So that's one tweak that the Indian team needs to make. Today for Pakistan, great bowling performance, which was aided by the pitch as well, and I think the pitch played a major role for both teams. Still not ideal conditions, slightly better than the pitches that we've seen so far, but was still double paced, and that explained why a lot of Indian batters got out the way they did. Rohit Sharma on another occasion, that was a 6 got out. Virat Kohli on another occasion, that shot would have been a 4, but because the ball stopped on a bit, that caused their dismissal, which is why I go back to the point. Maybe slight tweak in their approach would have ensured that you reach 150. There it would be game, set and match, not only for Pakistan, any other team. Pakistan committing harakiri, 77 for 2, about what? 49 deliveries or 47 deliveries, only 40 runs needed, less than run a ball. From there they lost because again went for glory shots. 2 turning points I would say there. One, that shot played by Rizwan of Jasprit Bumrah. You're the set man, sir. You're the experienced batter. You needed to take your team across the winning line from there, where just 40 runs were needed. If you're an experienced player, let's say Virat Kohli was batting at that situation, would he have played that shot? No. So India's win aided by some mindless batting by, let's say, Rizwan. That fantastic over by Akshar Patel that he bowled to Imad, put him under pressure. Those 2 moments completely changed the game. Of course, good bowling in the death in the penultimate over and the final over as well by Arshdeep and Jasprit Bumrah, and previous to that Mohammad Siraj. But I think the game was done and dusted before that, because the pitch was not going to allow for any rear guard hitting that the Pakistan batters were aiming at. Those 2 overs that I spoke about in towards the second half of their inning, that completely changed the game. What does this do to the tournament? Well, India will sail through to the Super 8s, rather easy for them. For Pakistan, precarious situation, they could very well be out. All they can hope for at the moment is a 3-way tie between Pakistan, Ireland, USA, and then hope on net run rate they can qualify. It's not impossible. Pakistan has done that previously. Last World Cup, lost to Zimbabwe, yet reached the final, but they would also hope for a few results to go their way. So that's that. What a way for this tournament to, really come to life. I know Pakistan has been responsible for both games that have brought this tournament to life. One, losing to USA, and today losing to the Indian team as well. So you wanted to bring cricket to USA shores, and if there was any American who didn't know about cricket was watching this game, I think this result is good enough to get him hooked to the sport that we all love called cricket. This is Nikhil Naz signing off from New York.